The city shimmered. Towers of glass and steel scraped the sky. Neon signs pulsed with vibrant life, painting the crowds below in a kaleidoscope of colours. Everyone smiled. It was a rule, you see. Happiness was mandatory. From the moment you woke, soothing voices filled your ears. "Today is a good day," they crooned through hidden speakers. Subliminal messages flickered at the edge of your vision, reminding you to be joyful, to be content, to be controlled. Even the sky wasn't safe. Drones zipped overhead, trailing holographic banners that proclaimed the virtues of a harmonious society, a society where negativity was eradicated, where sadness was a disease, where fear was non-existent, or so they wanted you to believe. It hadn't always been this way. There was a time when the city was alive with the raw, unfiltered emotions of its people. My grandmother used to tell me stories of a time before the Mandate, a time when people felt the full spectrum of human emotion. She would recount tales of joy and sorrow, of love and loss, painting a vivid picture of a world where emotions ran free. She described the sting of tears, the kind that came from both heartbreak and overwhelming happiness, and the warmth of laughter that came from the heart, not a government-issued chip. Laughter that echoed through the streets, bringing people together. Then came the Emotional Harmony Initiative. They called it a technological marvel, a breakthrough that would change society forever. A way to eradicate war, crime and suffering, they said. A promise of a utopia where pain and conflict were things of the past. They envisioned a world where peace reigned supreme, where every citizen lived in a state of perpetual calm. They implanted us with chips, tiny devices that regulated our emotional responses. Peace, they promised, and for a while, we had it. The city seemed to hum with a forced contentment. People walked the streets with serene expressions, their emotions carefully controlled. The city itself seemed to breathe in a rhythm of artificial tranquility, a harmony orchestrated by unseen forces. Gone were the angry shouts, the sobs of grief, the anxieties that once plagued humanity. The streets were quiet, almost eerily so. But with them went something else, something vital, the spark of genuine human connection, the rawness of true emotion. The playgrounds were empty, the laughter of children replaced by a haunting silence. The vibrancy of life had faded. We were puppets, dancing to a symphony of synthetic emotions, our strings pulled by unseen hands, our lives choreographed by an invisible conductor. The freedom to feel, to truly live, had been sacrificed for the illusion of peace. And in that sacrifice, we lost a piece of our humanity. The cracks began to show, subtly at first. They were almost imperceptible, like the first whispers of a storm on the horizon. A flicker of genuine sadness in a stranger's eyes. It was a rare sight in a world where emotions were tightly controlled, almost forbidden. A whispered conversation in the dead of night, quickly hushed when the telltale whir of a surveillance drone passed overhead. The fear was palpable, but so was the determination. These were the seeds of rebellion, planted in the fertile ground of our stolen emotions. Each act of defiance, no matter how small, was a step towards reclaiming our humanity. I first noticed it with my neighbour, Mrs. Chen. She had always been a pillar of strength in our community, a beacon of hope. Always a cheerful woman, her smile had become strained, brittle. It was as if the weight of the world had finally begun to crack her facade. One day I saw her in the communal garden, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. It was a silent scream, a cry for help in a world that had forgotten how to listen. She quickly wiped it away, her eyes darting around in fear. The ever-present threat of surveillance loomed over us all, a constant reminder of our captivity. That's when I knew. The control wasn't absolute. There were cracks in the system, and through those cracks the light of resistance shone. There were whispers of a resistance, a group of people who had somehow removed their implants, who were fighting to reclaim our right to feel, to be human. They met in secret, their courage a beacon in the darkness. The thought sent a thrill through me, a feeling so alien and yet so familiar. Hope. It was a spark, a glimmer of what could be, a future where we were no longer prisoners of our own minds. The price of this so-called peace was steep. We were shadows of our former selves, our individuality erased, our spirits dulled, the arts withered, starved of the raw emotions that fueled creativity. Music became bland, paintings lifeless, devoid of depth and meaning. My brother, once a gifted musician, could no longer bear to pick up his guitar. The music that flowed from it sounded hollow, empty. The chip, he said, had stolen his muse. He wandered through life in a haze of apathy, another casualty of the government's pursuit of absolute control. We had traded our humanity for a false sense of security, our ability to feel for the illusion of happiness. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, fueled by the repressed emotions of millions. One day, the hum faltered. It was subtle, barely noticeable at first. A momentary lapse in the soothing music piped through the city, a brief interruption, a flicker in the holographic banners that adorned every building. Then silence. Panic rippled through the streets like a wave. People looked at each other, their eyes wide with confusion, and a flicker of something I hadn't seen in years. Fear. The control was slipping, and for a brief, exhilarating moment we were free. The silence didn't last long, though. The soothing voices returned, stronger than ever, urging calm, reminding us of the dangers of negativity. But the seed of doubt had been planted. The system wasn't infallible. There was hope, a glimmer of change. That's when I found them. The resistance. A group of people who'd been hiding in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Hidden in plain sight, they were a network of hackers, artists, and everyday people who refused to be controlled. They had come together, united by a common goal, to reclaim their freedom and emotions. They had developed technology to block the government's signals, to reclaim their emotions. This technology was their lifeline, their beacon of hope in a world that had gone dark. Joining them was a risk, a dangerous gamble. But it was a risk worth taking for the chance to feel alive again. But after years of living in a numbed stupor, the thought of feeling again, of breaking free from the chains that bound us, of experiencing the full spectrum of human emotions was too tempting to resist. The idea of truly living, of experiencing every high and low, was a dream we all shared. I wanted to laugh until my sides ached, to feel the pure, unfiltered joy that had been taken from us, to cry tears of sorrow and joy, to let my emotions flow freely without fear of retribution. I wanted to be human, to feel, to love, to hurt, to heal, to experience life in all its messy, beautiful complexity. The resistance was a whirlwind of activity. Every day was a battle, every moment a chance to make a difference. They worked tirelessly, developing new ways to combat the government's control, pushing the boundaries of what was possible, spreading their message through coded messages and acts of defiance. Each act, no matter how small, was a step towards freedom. We were a drop in the ocean, a small force against a powerful tide, but we were determined to create a ripple effect, to inspire others to join us, to stand up and fight for their right to feel, to live, to be free. The fight is far from over. The government is a hydra, and for every head we cut off, 2 more grow back. But we are no longer passive puppets. We are aware, we are awake, and we are fighting for our right to feel. The question is, are you? Look around you, at the forced smiles, the vacant eyes, the carefully controlled narratives. Is this the world you want to live in? A world devoid of genuine human connection, of the messy, beautiful chaos of emotions? The choice is yours. Embrace the numbness or join us in the fight for our right to feel. Can you feel it? The current of change is rising. Will you be swept away or will you ride the wave to freedom?